What's up? What's up, guys? All right, I want to talk about level 2 of financial freedom. Here's the thing, I've watched my level 1 video and literally got motion sickness watching myself in the Tesla. So we're trying out just a bland video background this time around. Sorry, it's a little bit less personal. If you got any suggestions for what to throw on this backdrop, we could do it, okay? But nonetheless, level 2. Here we go. Heart of gold. Heart of gold. And I mean this a little bit as a play on words, okay? Because I'm talking about internalizing the heart of money. Basically, I'm talking about being a student of the game of money, learning what money is and how it works. But I am also talking about your like mastering yourself, knowing yourself. So level 1, we're talking about getting free from finances, free from financial bondage, free from the lies that maybe you've been told, the preconceived notions or assumptions that are wrong, from the culture, from your family, from maybe specific events of trauma or pain that finances have caused. So we're trying to press the undo button, right? Get out, get out, get out. All these other kind of ruling entities or critical voices. And level 2 is like, okay, what are we replacing it with? Like, if that's the lie, what's the truth? If I'm not this, who am I? If money's not that, what is money? And so level 2 is about having a heart of gold. And honestly, this is kind of funny because, like, if I were to talk about having money in your heart, most Christians would be like, whoa, like that's a bad thing, right? We don't want to do that, right? But the phrase having a heart of gold is a positive phrase. Like it's a very endearing term. But if you actually think about whatever, you don't care about this. It's a good thing, okay? I'm not talking about selling your soul to money. That would be a bad thing. But none of you have done that yet. Neither have I. Okay. 2 big pieces. Master of yourself, student of the game. So when it comes to mastering yourself, I would break it down into 3 things. I would talk about like being the master of yourself. And by that I mean self-awareness, self-development, like really going deep in knowing anything and everything there is to know about you. I would talk about being a master of yourself. So by that I mean like when you think about your time, your life, your choices, what are you doing and are you the one that's deciding those things? And specifically as it comes to financial choices and even more specifically with work, this is a great level to be prioritizing working for passion rather than for income. And really never do you want to only be working for income. You don't want to trade your time for a paycheck. And so it's hey, you're in charge, you're the master, and so you're a master of yourself. Like you got a PhD in you, and then you are the master of yourself because you're instructing your life. You're the one directing how you're spending your time, and hopefully spending it in ways that are fulfilling to you, that are at the very least in alignment with your values and your skills. And then you're the master of yourself. And like you, or I don't know if this really even makes sense the way I'm emphasizing these words, but like yourself, your financial values are at work. So like, what do you believe money's for? Are you doing that with your money? So you want to be like those things that are in you. You want to see if that's lining up. What do you believe your purpose in life is? Okay, now look at your money. Like, would your money tell that same story? Is your money reflective of yourself? Is yourself evident in alignment with your spending, your income, and of course your time, your investment? So that's kind of like the heart aspect when it comes to the heart of gold. Sorry if that was a little bit hard to follow, but you don't, if those three prongs all muddy into one, that's really fine. The point is you're trying to replace all the undo button you did from level one with what's the solid ground you can stand on as it relates to what you think about yourself, your skills, your personality, your desires, your fulfillment, your purpose in life, your vocation, your time. Like you want to study those things, know those things, and you want those things to be what governs and directs and guides your decision making. And you also want those things to be evident in your actual dollars. Like if you had duct tape around your mouth and you couldn't tell anyone about you, and all they could do was look through a ledger of your bank account or a ledger of your budget for life, like would they know you, or would they know a totally different you? So it's the heart. And the other aspect, as I mentioned, in the heart of gold is being a student of the game. This is the gold part. And basically learning how money works, opportunity cost, time value of money, impact of leverage, compound interest. Like if you if you knew those things as well as you understood something you understand really well, like it would be so good for you and it'd be so good for all of us. And you're never done. We're never done with any of these levels. They're all parts of the pyramid, and you can always focus on any given level, and you could focus on all the levels at the same time if you wanted, but that would be a little bit difficult to do with intentional effort. But the point is, we could always know these things deeper. Another aspect of being a student of the game is adopting transformational beliefs about money. So it's like the psychology of money, the philosophy of money, and if you're a Christian, like the biblical truth, like what does the Bible actually say? Not just what's always preached, because there's some things that get preached just because one preacher heard another preacher say it, and that preacher heard another preacher say it, and it turns out a couple generations go by with the wrong idea about something, and that happens about money, of course. Also, never mind. I'm gonna pause right there. So, this is like not these levels build on each other, and they're sequential to a certain degree, but they're not mutually exclusive. So there's a little bit of level 2 that happens in the midst of level 1, and you could be on level 5 but feel like you're in a season where you need to strengthen level 2. For me, I shared in my level 1 video like different, like the season of my life that was really there was, college years through the first couple years of marriage, which is, I guess, like a 5-year window, age 18 to age 23-ish, somewhere in there. I would say like predominantly was about level 1 for me. And maybe age 23, 24, 25 was this season of being a student of the game and being a master of myself. So some tools that I'd recommend, like within mastering yourself, like the Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, DISC, Strengths Finders, 5 Voices, spiritual gifts tests, or even like YouTubers that maybe like for example, I have ADHD. Like if you could hear some people talk about in their life, what's it like having ADHD, or things that are just specific to you, passions that you have, places that you're from, like cultural background, to feel like you can understand and know yourself. That's that's the key. That's the key. That's the goal for me. Also, like prophetic words, like if people pray for me and they say, I feel like the Lord is speaking something. I mean, I spent, I don't know how many hours typing up, I don't know, 30, 60 pages of Google Docs of me transcribing recordings, audio recordings I took with my phone, and also like separate like journal entry kind of written recordings of instances of this where someone has said something to me that's encouraging about who I am, and I just wanted to write it all out and evaluate it like a amateur data analyst. Like what are the trends? What is rising to the cream of the crop? What seems like uniquely evident about me that I can learn from these spiritual insights that I wouldn't have had before? And you can do that about your own like childhood experiences and skills, etc., thinking about different environments you've been in and which ones did you like, which ones didn't you like, and why. And there might be some things you could glean from yourself if you try to look at the sum of different events, aspects of your personality, experiences, versus hyper focusing on the details of every specific circumstance. Seriously, guys, so many mornings where I would go to Rudy's, eat a breakfast taco and a Dr. Pepper, and just type for 3, 4, 5 hours. Like this was what I did with my early 20s, mastering myself and then being a student of the game. That kind of came for me a little bit after. But some tools I'd recommend, like as it relates to financial coaching, like it's the peer group aspect of it that's really valuable on this level. Whereas with level 1, like the accountability is really the most valuable aspect of financial coaching for people that are focusing on level 1. But it's also books and podcasts like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Psychology of Money. There's one called The Wealth Elite that just like describes kind of the psychology of like hyper wealth individuals. It's like a research study. Also, like YouTubers can also be a great example here of just people teaching you about money. However, like most YouTubers don't say things that are true. They're just really entertaining or they've mastered algorithms. So you want to be a little bit careful. Honestly, like if you're coming from a biblical worldview, Rick Pino, like his YouTube content now, like some of it's just promoting his kind of his business and stuff, but there are times where he talks about money and talks about like biblical misconceptions about money and does a really great job kind of sharing the other side of the coin, because underlying for most people is a belief that money is evil. And you probably wouldn't say that, but you probably fear money as if it were evil. And the goal of this level is like, can you adopt the truth? The financial truth about how money actually works, and the belief system, the narratives about what money actually is and what it isn't. And so I'm not like the ultimate source of truth by any means. But hopefully you can at least understand how this system works, or how this level works at a high level. It's very much a transformational season. It's very much a learning season. Not a ton of like, do this, other than like generosity, for example, is maybe an aspect of finances that like is something you could probably do that would better align your finances with what you feel is true of yourself. And you could look at other values as well and just think about like, what does this mean for my money? What does this mean for my money? If it doesn't look like anything in your money now, it's probably not going to look like anything in your money later. A lot of people think later, once they have more money, then they will do X, Y, or Z. But usually X, Y, or Z, like there was like a lowercase X, Y, and Z that you needed to like learn how to write before you could do the like uppercase. There's a small game you need to play. Like if you can't give away $1 when you have $20 to your name, like you probably won't give away $100,000 when you've got 2 million to your name. Like you probably won't, you know. But for you to feel free with your finances, you would want your finances to reflect you, to be an extension of you, like to be just as good on the outside as you are cultivating on the inside. Level 2 is all about that cultivation. It's the heart of gold, the heart of gold, the heart of gold. And it's important to support the rest of the pyramid, not just like to guide, like mastering yourself. It's helpful to like know what are some careers you could do or couldn't do. Like for me, when I started learning a lot about ADHD, like I'm like, oh, that's why I don't want to work a corporate office job. Like, because I might actually die if I did that. You know, like it's not necessarily altruistic. It's just me knowing myself and knowing I need a high paced, I need a flexibility, I need a self driven work for me to have a chance at thriving within my work. And so it's like this level is important to support the rest of the pyramid because it's going to inform you on how can you best how can you best play your cards financially. But it's also going to support the rest of the pyramid through like just like it's hard to describe, but like just through your character, like who you are. And if you can learn again in the small game how you are, who you are, that is going to be magnified and be translated when there is increase. A lot of people could potentially get crushed by money. Like, oh man, you've changed. You know, like this person that used to be so great, and now they're kind of like, you don't really like them as much or whatever. Or, of course, like extreme examples of moral failure after someone ascends like a crazy amount of wealth or fame or whatever. And like this level is what you need internally to sustain an external financial breakthrough. Like you don't want to have a cracked heart. You don't want to miss out on level 2 and then just get $10 million because that $10 million will crush you. Usually, I mean, statistically, it's probable, you know, so it's like, how solid can you get the inside so that like God has permission to give you as much as he wants to give you. Like that's really, like that's what you're trying to create is like, there is no amount of money externally that could threaten your internal state, and your internal, like any money that you receive externally will come under your internal state. Like it will be governed by your governing heart, and your governing heart is ready, like mentally, emotionally, like it is prepared to handle any amount of money. You're already content with little. You're on level 1, and now you're preparing yourself spiritually for being content with a lot, and or being content with a little again. You know, like it's not like you're just guaranteed to always go up and never go down as it relates to your financial trajectory. But you don't want to go up and then crash and burn. You know, if you go up and then you give all your money away, or you go up and then you invest in something that goes down, that's one thing. But you don't want your insides to come out of you because of money. And so that's what level 2 is about. It's that preparation. The more you know yourself, the more effectively you're going to be able to invest in yourself, the more precisely you're going to be able to pick career paths. And if you can just take one step at a time sequentially, you're already way ahead of the game as it relates to financial freedom versus like always moving but never learning. I'm going to spend 3 years and do that. I'm going to spend a year and do that. 6 months here, 6 months there. I did 10 different jobs, 10 different places. That would be great if by the end of it, you were a master of yourself. But if you just did things and you don't necessarily have better information, if you're not cultivating something inside of you or an awareness, if you're not learning, then you're delaying your journey as it relates to financial freedom. And so learn about yourself, about money, and cultivate the inside of your heart. This could look even like counseling or therapy for some of you. For me, it was some of that, really a lot of church involvement that was helpful, but then had to kind of go back to level 1 and undo a little bit of the church involvement, ruling voices as it relates to money. But it's getting that inside right, helping you target, like if you slowly took 3 steps, but they were in the same direction, you will be farther than if you did a giant leap in 3 like totally opposite cardinal directions. So that's what this level is about, is out of all 360 degrees, where am I supposed to point myself versus rushing into life and kind of skipping over this heart of gold level. That's going to be important to sharpen your axe in a sense and just prepare you for the increase. All right. That's all I got for level 2. Hopefully it's clear enough. All right. Talk to y'all soon.